Guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to my channel. We are doing another book review video today. I hope the lighting is okay in here. I'm doing it in my living room, so I kind of have lighting coming from the side instead of directly at me. And little Sky is hanging out with us back behind. So guys, today we are doing a book off my August TBR called The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I'm gonna give you guys a little quick overhaul of just my initial thoughts and how much I loved this book. And then we are going to dive deep like we do in these videos. I've got a whole list of kind of points that I wanna talk about, as well as some book club questions that we can discuss. I just think this is so fun. So guys, I had 6 books on my August TBR. This was the second book that I was reading in August. I've never read anything from Sarah Adams. So basically this book, it's not a series, it's just a one and done novel. Basically, this is like a friends to lovers, fake dating kind of like base. I loved this book. I love reading books where the people were like friends. I think it's really cool when you build a really cool friendship before a relationship starts. So this book was just the light, fun, exciting read. Like I didn't want to put it down. I read this in a couple days. It's about Nathan, who plays in the NFL, and Bree, who is a dancer, who has her own dance studio. She's like a ballerina. And it starts talking about their friendship. They get pulled into like a fake dating situation, even though they both have feelings for each other. So it's like a friends to lovers, fake dating. It's just so cute. This is everything I wanted it to be. The last book that I read, I was hoping was going to kind of be something light like this one. Just a really fun love story. And it turned out to be kind of like really heavy and dark. So this was exactly what I was wanting it to be. I saw an author's note in this book that like she was really excited to write this book, and this was kind of something she needed just as a healing thing. I felt the same way with this book. It just was fun. It just had me laughing. I just loved so many aspects of this. The characters were both super great and just really healthy people, like not toxic people. I really loved this. So I have a lot of questions. If you're watching this up to this point, if you want to read this book, click out of the video. We are going to dive deep into this and talk about some of the aspects of this book that I loved. Also, I very much want to look into more of the Sarah Adams books after reading this. This was my first time reading her stuff. I got this at a discounted book outlet, so I didn't really know what to expect. Loved it. I would give this honestly like a 4.5 out of 5 star. I would say the only reason it's not 5 star, like I wish it was longer. I wish that we could see even more about the book. It definitely moved at a fast pace. So if you want to read this and you've not, click away. We are going to dive into talking about it. Okay guys, so one thing I want to say that I really liked about the pace of this book, of course, there was times in this book when Bree and Nathan, because of the dual point of vision of the book, there was definitely times where I wanted to be like, oh my gosh, like just talk to each other because they had been so in love with each other for so long. But one thing I really did like about this book, even though at first for the fake dating and the friends to lovers like base of the story, I loved that it didn't take too long for them to start like realizing their feelings for each other. Sometimes I feel like when you pick up a book like this and it's like, you know, making you wait for them to actually get together and express their feelings, it like wraps it up in like 2 chapters at the end of the book. And you're like, dang, like I didn't get actually a lot of them being together. So of course you don't get a ton of them being together. This is not like a spicy book at all. It's just a really sweet love story. I do love that you got to see, though, more of them being together. I did like that it didn't kind of just like get them together and then drop it off. like so many books, like they'll express their feelings for each other and then the book just ends. So I did like that they started to realize their feelings for each other and like express that to each other a little bit, earlier on. I would say like 75% through the book. So it didn't make you wait so long. And guys, I loved Bree and Nathan. Honestly, their characters were really perfect. Bree came from like a really neat family. She was just this chaotic, like bubbly person. She was just such a good time. She just had the best energy and spirit about her. Nathan was just like, even though he seemed like a little more serious because of his career and things, he just had kind of come from more of a toxic household, but was just the best guy. He was such a good book boyfriend. He was such a good friend to Bree. It was so sweet reading the book about how like he, at the end, you find out he had kept these certain things from her. Like he stole her scrunchie, kept the number, like the paper she had originally gave him with her phone number on it. There was just like these little things he did for her as a friend. Like, I love that he always chose her, even when it came to like his parents, when his mom was very much like overstepping in his life, or just girlfriends that he had or friends, he always chose Bree. Like he always showed up for Bree when she needed him. I loved that he like was saving her dance studio by paying the rent. It was just really sweet. It just like for him being in this book, a professional athlete, he seemed like the most down to earth person who was just very level headed, very much a normal person that didn't let the fame get to him. I also really loved that Bree, I wrote this down. Like, I love that she was just herself. Like, she was just this like quirky character. They always talked about how curly and big her hair was. I love that in all aspects of this book, even when they were at the Super Bowl at the end of the book and the mom was like commenting on how she was dressed, I loved that she didn't feel the societal pressures that like being an NFL girlfriend or having a best friend that was in the NFL that she hung out with. I love that she didn't let the societal pressures of dressing a certain way, changing your hair, or spending a bunch of money on clothes. I love that she didn't let that change her. Like she stayed Bree the whole time. Like she didn't want him buying these elaborate and extravagant gifts for her or doing these elaborate things for her. She was just very much herself. And I love that Nathan fully supported that. Like he didn't get caught up with like, I want you to look like every other girl on Instagram. I love that he just liked and loved Bree the exact way that she was. Okay, so a couple things I wanted to talk about was like some of my favorite parts of the book. I loved towards the beginning when all the friends, because that's another thing. I love that like the guy friends were friends with Bree. They also just seemed like good guys and were really supportive of their relationship. I loved the scene where they were like filling out the whiteboard and then Bree ends up coming to the house or the apartment. I thought it was just so cute, like seeing the guys point a vision in the book of what they thought that girls would want or what would be cute to them, what would make her fall in love with Nathan, and just their ideas of like, stopping an elevator, like pretending like an elevator breaks down, pretending like the electricity goes out, and having like a room of candles, putting her hair behind her ears. There was just so many little things that like girls really do think are cute. I loved the idea of the whiteboard and trying to do some of those things. There was like the slow dancing thing or showing up at her work. He kind of did 2 in 1 when he came to her dance studio and they went in her office and he started dancing with her. That was really sweet. It was fun that he surprised her and showed up at her job. I know my husband used to do that when I was working, and he would just randomly pop in by himself, or when we had my older son, he would just randomly show up with my son. And that always meant so much to me that they're thinking of you. So I loved that, like the whiteboard scene and just planning out all of those little things that could help Bree really fall for him. Also, I loved this scene where when they were starting to realize like they thought that each other had feelings for each other after his friend's party. I loved the scene when they went for their really early morning jog and they went down to the beach and it was just them authentically with each other for like the first time when they realized that they both had real feelings for each other and it wasn't fake anymore. I thought that was like such a sweet scene, even though it was cut short because like a paparazzi guy found them on the beach. But I loved that. I thought that was really cute. I also love that when they decided to do the fake dating, when his like manager or whatever she was exactly had suggested it, I thought it was really cute that he like was telling her, I can't remember how it was worded in the book, but how she was going to have a great time. I really thought that was cool because you start thinking like, what is he going to do for her? Like he has lots of money, he has lots of pool. Like what are the cool things he's going to like set up for her? I also loved the scene like when she originally had talked to that reporter in the bathroom, not knowing after they had went out drinking, like right at the beginning of the book. I just thought that that was a cute scene, like how that got started, the things she said, like with the Tide pin, how he had came in to save her, like once again, just not caring about his image or how he appeared to other people. He just showed up for Bree whenever she needed him to, and I loved that. Okay, another one that I absolutely loved, this was the more serious topic in this book, was mental health. So it talks about kind of how Bree had went through some struggles, like how she was like seeing a therapist after her accident and she wasn't able to dance anymore or go to college to dance. I love that when Nathan, it doesn't say at first, those like couple first, I think it was like 2 times before his big panic attack. He was like, one time he was waiting to run onto the football field and he was feeling this heaviness and he was just hyper aware of all the sounds around him. He wanted just to like, that fight or flight instinct was kicking in and he wanted to just book it. When you're reading that, if you're somebody that's ever dealt with panic attacks like I have, you knew where that was going because I could never be in that level of spotlight because I think it would just be way too much for me. So when you start seeing him feeling nervous and he's not knowing how to exactly explain his feelings or what he's feeling, and it's something that he used to not really deal with, you kind of realize that he's having panic attacks and that is probably going to become a bigger issue. I love that it shows that like basically anybody could get panic attacks. You could be a professional athlete that looks like you have your life totally together. You can live in a beautiful, like he lives in a beachfront, like this beautiful condo, has everything, has these nice cars, all of this stuff, these great friends, and he still battles panic attacks and anxiety. So I loved that. I loved the scene when he shows up at her parents' or at her sister's house for her nephew's birthday, and everybody's crowding him, like wanting to take pictures with him or talk to him. And she notices his face change. And if you ever have somebody in your life that is really close to you and loves you, a lot of times you can immediately tell when that energy changes or a look on their face that they're really battling something internally. So Bree noticed it right away as Nathan slipped away from the crowd. And I love she followed him into the laundry room and he just like broke down and he was having like the biggest panic attack yet. She was really helping ground him and walk him through the steps of grounding him. And I remember him saying in the book, like, how did you know what was happening to me? And then she starts talking about her panic attacks and why, like when she was getting help. And I love after he had a panic attack, he talks about he made an appointment with his therapist, even though he wasn't looking forward to it, to get a handle on his anxiety. I love that it not only touched touched on mental health in men, also touched in mental health with women, but I feel like something mental health is not talked about enough with men, and how they don't have to be strong and tough and be able to take everything all the time. And then I love that it talked about, it didn't go into detail about him getting help, but it did mention that he did get help. And then he ended up playing in the Super Bowl and not having a panic attack beforehand. So I love that it talked about mental health. I think that was a really like strong and nice message that this book, even though it's a light read and it's fun, it was something that a lot of people relate to and need to hear. I love at the end of the book too, like when they get together before he makes it to the Super Bowl, I love that he says to her, I hope you're okay with me. Like they had just really kissed each other for the first time, knowing that it wasn't fake and they were both into each other. And I love that he says, like, I hope you're okay with me asking you to marry me soon. I know you don't like surprises, but it's probably going to be soon. Cause like he was saying, he feels like they've been dating all of the years that they've known each other. Like they know everything that there is to know about each other. And that's what's so beautiful about the friends to lovers aspect of this book and just in life. So I thought that was so cute, and I was not expecting him to just like for them to elope right after the Super Bowl, even though he lost. I love that after he had that talk with her, he jumped right into planning that out, had her whole family, like she thought she was showing up for this really simple, like Elvis impersonator, in Las Vegas for this really simple elopement. And he had planned this out and had her stylist, like the stylist that she's best friends with now, bring her all these dresses that fit her. All these things, had her family there, his family there, all of their friends. I thought that was so like the sweetest thing ever. I loved that. So I do wish that we could have seen more of their life as an actual couple. But this book, if you're just needing like a fun read, this is not like really totally like a summer book, a fall book, a winter book. I would say maybe it's a little more like fall because it does take place in football season, but it doesn't really like, this is just like an anytime around, like any time of year, any month of the year. This is the cutest book. I so recommend this. Like I said, I never read any of Sarah Adams's books. I will definitely look her up. I saw in the back of the book, because this one actually has a special edition bonus chapter. I don't know if that's not something that's in all of these at the bookstore. So it did kind of give you like an epilogue. I think, did it give you a special, it gave you like the epilogue, but I think it also gave you a 1 year later special like bonus chapter. So I wish I could have seen even more, but I love that the characters, like I said, it didn't wait till literally like the last 2 chapters to get them together. Like you got to see them get married, even though it was fast. I also loved that the author put the romance cheat sheet on the back of here. I thought that was so cute with their ideas. So I just loved this book, guys. But what I was saying, why I went in here, I saw she was talking about her book series, When in Rome. I think she said this takes place, I can't remember where, like Rome, was it like Rome, Kentucky or Rome, Tennessee? I don't know. I know there's like isn't there like a Rome, Texas? I don't remember, but I kind of want to check these books out. So guys, let me pull up some of my book talk, book club questions, and let's talk about it. So I think I kind of hit all the points of the book that was my favorite. I loved this scene when she was making him brownies too, after when he was coming home and they were having like the food fight that was also on their list. So there were so many cute things, but I think I said a lot of my favorite things. So my book club questions, I have these pulled up from Pinterest. Which character did you like the most and which one did you dislike? Okay, so the characters I liked the most was clearly Nathan and Bree. I also liked the stylist best friend she made. I can't think of what, I feel like his name was like, I don't know if it says. Wait, let me see. It definitely says, but I don't know if I can find where it says, I can't think of what his name was, but I liked the relationship that she had built with him. So I would say Nathan and Bree were my favorite characters. They were so cute. I wouldn't be able to pick one over the other. I loved Bree was just like a different girl. She didn't conform to society, like I was saying. I love that Nathan was just this strong-minded, really kind and gentle guy. I loved that. He was just really sensitive. And like a lot of guys, especially being a role of being like an NFL quarterback, you probably wouldn't always get that side of them. So I thought that was cool. My least favorite, like the character I disliked, was Nathan's mom. I thought she was like super controlling, only called her son when she was really needing something. I think she more cared about how her son made them look, like the status that gave them that their son was in the NFL and what he could do at like their country club, versus just like, you knew she loved him, but she just was focusing on all the wrong parts and just was really nagging to him. So I would say his mom was my least favorite. Okay, next question was, what were the main themes or messages you picked up from the book? So I would say like the biggest message that I picked up from the book was probably like the mental health stuff like I was talking about. I love that she talked about panic attacks. Also just like sharing your feelings with people, whether it's in a relationship like that or a friendship, like friendships or your relationships with your parents. Just talk about things. You never know. Like Bree and Nathan waited so long in their lives, like since high school to them in adult life, just to have a conversation about how they felt. And all of these years that they could have been together and progressed in a relationship if they just talked about their feelings. So I would say just talk about feelings. If you feel something with your parents, if something is lacking or you need to have a conversation, don't ever wait, because you never know, what could happen in a day-to-day basis and how long we're all here. So I would say that's a big thing, like have the needed conversations, talk about your feelings. Don't be afraid of what that's going to do to the other person. Like say your piece. Also, I loved the mental health aspect, the panic attacks. I love that they touch on that and that a man really was like, I'm going to get help with this. I loved that. The other question, how did the author's writing style impact your enjoyment of the story? I love dual point of vision books. A lot of Colleen Hoover books are dual point of vision. Also, the Boys of Tommen series, that's my favorite, is dual point of vision. I would say I love that. I love that you get to see the book. You get to see the feelings from both parties. I also love how this was kind of a fast-paced, she built the characters well and had them fall in love, and it was somewhat fast-paced and it all made sense. I don't feel like there was any like loose ends. It was just all tied together, and I liked her writing a lot. Was there an unexpected plot twist? I would say the unexpected plot twists were him having panic attacks, them not winning the Super Bowl at the end. Like you think that they're definitely going to, because that's like normally how stories work, but they didn't. And he was like, okay with that. And then they had this super positive moment after that. And then also unexpected plot twist. I had another one that popped into my mind and I can't think of it. But, the wedding at the end. Like I didn't expect them to actually get married in the book. Like I thought it would lead up to that point, but you wouldn't see it. So that was really cool. All right, guys, so that is all we're going to talk about the cheat sheet today. I loved this book. I highly recommend this book. I'm going to try to find some more Sarah Adams books here in the near future. I'm very interested in her When in Rome series. I loved this, loved the characters. I kind of wish there was a second book, but really all of the ends were tied. Like it really completed it. It didn't leave you on a cliffhanger. It really tied it all together. So one book is okay. It was a great book. I loved this book. I'm keeping this on my bookshelf. I know there's some books in my reading journey that won't be books I hold on to. This is a book I will definitely hold on to. I would definitely recommend it. If you were putting together a gift to give somebody, if you have a reader friend, I would definitely give them this book. Loved it. I highly recommend this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know if you've read anything else by her or if you've read this book and loved it. I really appreciate you guys being here.